Imagine a war so vast that the sea stood up into the sky, that mountains were thrown like pebbles, and the very ground caught fire. This was the largest war creation would ever see. It lasted 10 years. And here's the part the legends leave out. The most famous weapon in all of mythology, the thunderbolt itself, was not enough to end it. Remember where we left them. Zeus, armed at last with the bolt the Cyclopes forged, stood upon Mount Olympus, his brothers beside him, the freed monsters at his back. Across a darkened sky rose Mount Othrys, and on it Cronus and the Titans, the ancient powers who had ruled all things since the fall of the sky. Two mountains, two armies, the cosmos itself split clean in two, and the silence between them stretched thin as a held breath. Then the breath broke. Zeus raised the thunderbolt, and the first bolt tore down the sky toward Othrys, and the war for the cosmos began. The Titans answered with mountains. They tore peaks from the earth and hurled them, and the Olympians met them with lightning in the cracking sea. This was no duel of heroes. This was the elements themselves at war. Sky against stone, storm against mountain, ocean against the roots of the world. The whole of creation became the battlefield. And the Titans did not break. Zeus's lightning scorched them. Poseidon's trident split the ground beneath them, and still they came, vast and ancient and unbeaten. For they were the oldest strength in the universe, gods who had never once lost. A single weapon, however bright, was simply not enough to topple them. So the war did not end. It went on and on. The bolts flew, the mountains fell, the cosmos shook, and neither side could win. 1 year passed, then 3, then 7. The sky never cleared and the ground never cooled. An entire age of the world burned away in a war that would not break. We picture Zeus winning in a single flash of lightning. The truth is stranger and harder. For 10 long years, the king of the sky could not defeat his own father. But the war had a shape few remember, for not every titan stood against Zeus. Some of the ancient powers looked at the burning sky and chose the other side. First of all came Styx, eldest daughter of Ocean, a grave, dark river goddess who climbed to Olympus before any other and offered Zeus her allegiance. And she did not come alone. She brought her 4 children, and their names tell you everything: strength, force, rivalry, and victory herself, the winged goddess Nikē. Zeus never forgot it. He set victory at his side forever, and he made Styx's name the one oath no god may ever break, the unbreakable vow of the heavens. Then came a stranger ally still. Prometheus, the titan who could see what was coming, read the future in the burning sky and turned his back on his own kin. He chose Zeus. The wisest of the titans bet against the titans because he could see how it would end. Remember his face, he will matter terribly later. But allies were not victory. Even with Styx's children, even with the foreseeing titan, even with the lightning, the scales would not tip, the deadlock held. And slowly a terrible question rose over the battlefield. How do you win a war between immortals, beings who cannot die, cannot tire, cannot ever truly fall? Cronus could not be killed. None of the titans could. You could burn them, bury them, throw them down, and they would rise again, ancient and furious, and the war would go on. 10 years in, Zeus understood the trap. Courage would not break it. The thunderbolt would not break it. This war could grind on until the end of time itself. He needed something he had not yet used, a power great enough to end what nothing else could, and he already held the key to it. He had simply not yet turned it. Cast your mind back to the pit. When Zeus descended into Tartarus, he freed 2 kinds of prisoner. the Cyclopes, who forged his bolt, and others, larger, stronger, stranger. The 100-handers, 3 brothers Cottus, Briareos, and Gyes, each with 50 heads and 100 arms, the strongest beings the universe had ever made. They had fought in the war from the start, but their full, terrible strength had never been loosed, held in reserve, a storm that had never broken. Now Zeus went to them. And here's the thing, a tyrant would never have done. He did not command them. He did not threaten them. He came to the monsters as a friend, bearing gifts. He brought them nectar and ambrosia, the food and drink of the gods, the very stuff of immortal strength, and with his own hands restored the powers his father had let waste in the dark. As they ate, the long ages of imprisonment fell away, and their old strength came roaring back into their countless limbs, vast as it had been before the world had kings. Then Zeus spoke to them plainly, as equals. "Listen to me," he said. "It was I who brought you back from the gloomy dark. It was I who broke your bitter chains. The Titans buried you and forgot you. I came down into the pit for you. Now stand with me, not behind me, but at the very front of the line." And the 100-handers answered him. "Because of you," they said, "we have climbed back out of the merciless dark. We know what you have done. We will fight, and we will not stop." They rose then to their full and final height, 3 living mountains of grasping arms and watching heads, and for the first time in the whole war, nothing was being held back. Now Zeus stopped holding back as well. For 10 years he had rationed the thunderbolt, spending it blow by careful blow. That restraint was over. He came down from Olympus wielding the full fury of the storm, and the bolts flew thick and fast from his hand, not one at a time now, but in a ceaseless rain of fire. Lightning upon lightning, whirling a flame that lit the whole of creation white. The Titan's fortress on Othrys shuddered under a sky that had become one endless blaze. The poet who first told this said the boundless sea roared terribly. The earth crashed and groaned. The wide heavens shook upon its foundations, and great Olympus reeled. The shock ran down through the roots of the world and reached even Tartarus, the deepest dark of all, and the abyss itself trembled at the violence above. It looked, the poet said, as though the sky were falling onto the earth, as though heaven and earth themselves had finally come crashing together to end the world. And into that inferno strode the 100-handers. To the very front of the bitter strife they came, 100 arms apiece drawing back as one. And they threw 300 rocks at once, 300 mountains, loosed in a single storm from their countless hands, blotting out the burning sky. The barrage came down on the Titans like a falling range of peaks, stone upon stone upon stone, an avalanche the size of a war, burying the ancient gods where they stood. This, not the lightning, was the blow that broke them. The buried powers the Titans had feared and chained were the very thing that finally overwhelmed them. The line of Othrys cracked. The elder gods who had never lost reeled under the rain of mountains and the unending fire, driven down at last toward the dark. And Cronus, the king who took the throne by ambush and held it by terror, who had never once had to fight, was broken in open war by the children he tried to devour. But how do you end a war against gods who cannot die? You cannot kill a Titan. Burn one, bury one, and still it will not perish. The Olympians faced an immortal enemy. So they did the only thing that could hold an immortal. The very thing the Titans themselves had taught them. They reached for chains. They bound the fallen Titans in bonds that could not be broken. One by one, the ancient powers of the old world shackled in the ruins of their own fortress. And then they cast them down past the roots of the mountains, down past the springs of the sea, into Tartarus, the pit beneath the world, and feel the justice in it. Tartarus was the same prison where the Titans had buried the Cyclopes and the Hundred-Handers. The jailers were thrown into their own jail. Down they fell, as far beneath the earth as the sky is high above it, into the abyss where a bronze anvil falls for 9 long days before it strikes the bottom. There, the old gods were sealed in the dark they had used to hide their fears. Cronus among them, the king of the cosmos, now a prisoner in the deepest cell of all. And who did Zeus set to guard them? The Hundred-Handers. The beings the Titans had chained in that very pit now stood as its wardens. The prisoners had become the keepers. But one Titan was given a different doom. Atlas, a champion of their war, was singled out for a punishment crueler than any prison. He was made to stand at the western edge of the world and lift the entire weight of the sky onto his shoulders and hold it there, straining, forever. And mark this, for almost everyone gets it wrong. Atlas does not hold up the earth, and he holds no globe. He holds up the sky itself, keeping the heavens from crushing the world. The Titans were not slain. They were imprisoned. The age of the elder gods did not die. It was locked away, chained in the dark, with a 100-handed monster at the gate. And so, after 10 years, the war for the cosmos was finally over. The sky cleared. The sea lay down, and the universe belonged at last to the young gods. 3 brothers had survived their father's belly and won the war of the heavens. Now they had to decide who would rule what, and they did it not by force, but by lot. They cast lots for the cosmos itself. To Poseidon fell the sea. To rule its every wave, to Hades fell the underworld, the silent realm of the unseen. And to Zeus fell the wide sky, the heavens and the storm and the throne above all thrones, the earth and high Olympus they would share among them. The swallowed child, the secret heir, the cupbearer who poisoned a king, the brother who went down into the pit for monsters, now at last the king of the gods. The age of the Titans was over. The age of the Olympians had begun, the age of the gods whose names we still speak today. But remember how it was truly won, not by the lightning everyone remembers. The thunderbolt fought the Titans to a standstill for 10 long years. The war turned only when Zeus loosed the powers his father had buried, and trusted the monsters he had freed. Power hoarded as a chain, power shared as a thrown mountain. Cronus chained what he feared, and was chained by it. Zeus freed what his father feared, and was crowned by it. That is the whole secret of how the world changed hands. And yet, Uranus fell to Cronus. Cronus fell to Zeus. The wheel of the heavens had turned twice already, and the wheel that has turned twice does not simply stop. For deep in the green earth, someone was watching. Gaia, the grandmother of gods, who had counseled Zeus to victory, now saw her own Titan children chained in the endless dark. And her grief turned slowly to wrath. She would raise new horrors against the new king, first the towering giants, and then a monster greater than them all. Zeus had won the throne. Keeping it would be another war. Thank you for watching. If this tale stayed with you, subscribe. A new myth arrives every week, and you won't want to miss what comes next. Until then, may the old stories keep their hold on you.